Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Cool morning. Weather seems to be pretty mild for right now here in the Ozarks, but that's always going to change. But considering what's going on in the United States weather-wise, or what has gone on, we're doing pretty good here. Unfortunately, still a lot of problems. North South Carolina, Georgia, millions of people without power. They've estimated over the past 5 days about 40 trillion gallons of water has fallen in those areas. So a massive amount. Now, aside from the obvious, which is the human casualty and damage and property damage and all of that kind of stuff, there's something else going on that I want to talk about that's probably not been on your bingo card, and you probably have no clue. Many of you, some of you have already figured this one out, but not probably too many, because it's certainly not been out there, not even in the social media world very much. Before I get that going, did you hear Joe Biden yesterday talk about how we've sent all that we can do to the flooded areas? He was asked by a reporter if there's anything that they can do. Oh no, we've already sent, FEMA assessors and stuff in. We had them going before it even touched ground. The hurricane even hit ground, and so we've done a lot. And then the reporter asked him, was there anything else you can do? Oh no, we've done everything we can do. Well, let's see. In the last week, you've sent $8 billion to Ukraine, $8.7 billion to Israel, about $400 million to Taiwan. Yeah, you've probably done all you can do. Here's the thing, though. Don't let all the talk kind of get you off track. We don't want federal boots on the ground in North and South Carolina. In fact, so far, and history has proven that volunteers and private companies and private organizations can do the job and do it way better. The federal government, all they can do is mess things up. Now, I think the problem is that we see all this money being sent to other countries. What Joe Biden could do is say, here's all the taxes we've collected off of you folks in the last few years here in North and South Carolina and Georgia, and we're going to send it all back to you. That would probably be a big help. But putting any type of federal agencies or federal troops on the ground is just not needed. And I don't want people to start getting off track and saying, oh no, we need the federal government to come here and take care of us. No, you don't. You don't need the federal government to come take care of you. We just need to stop sending billions and billions of dollars elsewhere. So anyways, back to the bingo card that you probably didn't have. Excuse me. Amongst all the horrible things that's happened, there is a little town called Spruce Pine, North Carolina. It's kind of right in the middle of all this, and they're experiencing the flooding and damage just like everywhere else. You can get on and Google or search for images and posts about Spruce Pine, North Carolina, and you can find that they're right in the heart of it. What people don't know is that Spruce Pine, North Carolina is pretty much the only place in the world that they can find absolutely pure type of quartz crystal. There are a few other places on the planet that they can find this very, very pure quartz crystal, but they're not in mass supply. So 90+% of the world's supply of this type of pure quartz crystal is found in this one location. It's so pure that it has less than 1 atom of impurity per 8 billion atoms. So that's huge. That's a huge difference. Now, why is this important? Because it is the only type of quartz crystal that can be used to produce semiconductors. Now, over the last few years, there's been a lot of talk about how important Taiwan is, because they produce the vast majority of the world's semiconductors. And as you all know, that's been the big heated debate between a potential war with us and China, is Taiwan, because of their semiconductor producing capabilities. What people don't talk about is the quartz crystal that they use to produce the semiconductors in Taiwan is pretty much only mined and produced in Spruce Pine, North Carolina. They can't get to the mine, they can't get to the facility, roads are closed, areas are flooded. This is a huge, huge critical problem. In fact, back in March of this year, There was an article here, I'll show you. And it talks about the apocalypse that no one is thinking about, the semiconductor apocalypse that no one is thinking about. And it's specifically talking about if something happened to this quartz producing facility in Spruce Pine, North Carolina, that it would cause a semiconductor apocalypse greater than most people think of. In fact, possibly even more so than if we lost Taiwan, because while Taiwan produces a mass quantity of semiconductors, there are other places on the planet, including the United States, which is stepping up and trying to produce more. But you can't just find this level of pure quartz anywhere, and like I said, it's pretty much this only spot. So this is huge. Now, there's already a few speculative comments online of, so is this the reason? Is this the reason this happened? Is because, you know, since the beginning, there's been a lot of people pointing out the anomalies in this hurricane, that it did not behave in a normal way. And there's been speculation from the beginning that this was kind of altered, man-made maybe, or at least somehow, some way, some type of geoengineering or manipulation was done on this hurricane. I'm not saying that that's absolutely the case, but you can't rule that out. And then now seeing this happen, that this one very, very globally important place in this little small town of Spruce Pine, North Carolina, has gotten hit. One has to ask the question, I guess, whether or not it was done on purpose and manipulated, or it was just a natural act. The fact is that for right now, there's a stoppage of the quartz that's needed to produce semiconductors. And while the average person doesn't see this as a big deal, virtually everything on the planet now has these microchips and semiconductors in them. Everything. Every appliance, every piece of equipment, every vehicle, every piece of, computers, war machines, everything has this. That's why Taiwan has been such a critical place, because virtually everything now that's manufactured that has any type of electronic, technological, computer capability depends upon Taiwan's production of microchips and semiconductors and stuff. Well, Taiwan depends on Spruce Pine, North Carolina to get the pure crystal that's needed to produce that. And so this is really a big deal on a global stage. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. Yesterday Israel started attacking directly Yemen and Syria. They've been continuing their attack in Lebanon, and then as of, I guess, this morning, Iran has backed away once again, saying that they're not going to put any troops on the ground in Lebanon, and that Lebanon and Syria and all those areas are more than capable of handling things themselves. So we're definitely seeing a shift of power and a shift of tensions just in that one statement, if that holds to be true. So there's a lot of other things going on, but this one thing is quite serious. I mean, again, there's other things. There's reports of looters, people sabotaging semi-trucks that are moving into those areas, relief trucks. There's been reports of, upwards of 50 or more semi-trucks that their tires have been slashed and damage has been done to them, preventing them to bringing equipment and food and supplies and stuff into the flooded areas. Is that just happening? Is it a bunch of illegals coordinating their attack? Is it some type of, our government or foreign government? Who knows? It does seem to be pretty strange that kind of stuff would happen. And it is documented in the news if you dig. Local authorities are reporting this over in Tennessee. There's a whole lot of stuff going on with this. And while it just on the surface as a natural disaster, it's definitely on an epic level. It's very huge. The damage, the overall damage is easily comparable to some of the worst hurricanes in American history. Even though the death toll isn't quite as high, I think the death toll right now is hovering around 100. It could, and most definitely, I think, will rise. But the overall damage to a pretty large area of the United States, very few hurricanes have reached this level. But there's other things going on, folks. And we need to be paying attention. This semiconductor Quartz facility there in Spruce Pine, North Carolina, I think is quite the big deal, and could cause a major slowdown of a lot of things. I mean, just replacing equipment that has been damaged and lost due to the flooding, it could slow down the replacement of equipment for, restoring power, cellular, capabilities, things like that, because a lot of the components that's needed to replace that would have this quartz crystal in it. And so it's going to slow things down. And we have to realize that above all, this is the time that we're in. This time of destruction, this time of chaos, this time of fear. That's what they're pushing on us. They want us to get to that point where we're terrified, where we see everything falling apart. That's the reason why, they figure people will accept whatever new world order they're thrown at them. So we have to be prepared for that. Yesterday in our big meeting, I was telling everyone, I said, the bottom line is to try to find ways to become as self-sufficient, which means as independent as possible, to be less dependent upon the system, whether that system is the government, the supply chain, the electrical grid, the communications grid, whatever that is. It's to find ways to become less dependent upon it. And that's really what we have to do, because the system itself is failing, and it's failing on purpose because it's an orchestrated collapse, which means it's time for you to get your houses in order, folks. You should be preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.